So the Nintendo Switch 2 is out. It's been out for a couple weeks now, but the biggest thing that everybody's been talking about is these game key card features. So let's talk about this because I think this is kind of dumb. So, if you guys didn't know, Nintendo Switch 2 consulted with third party publishers over game key card features. I think this is the dumbest thing in the world. Why make an article about it? Why even consult with them? Because Nintendo's been doing this for years. Shit. All the other fucking companies have been doing this shit for years. So let's talk about it. Nintendo has revealed third party publishers were consulted regarding the ideas for the Switch 2 game key card. Game key cards are one of the most controversial aspects of the recent Nintendo Switch 2, but this report gives gamers more insight into why they're being used. Real quick. The Nintendo Switch had games where you would buy the game, and guess what? There wouldn't even be a goddamn cartridge in it. It would just be a code where you would enter it in, they give you the download, so on and so forth. For the Xbox, for the PlayStation, most game discs nowadays, perfect example, I don't have it sitting next to me, are just DRMs. You throw it in the thing, they download the game to the console, so whenever you want to play the game, you got to put the disc in and it unlocks it. All game discs are nowadays, even cartridges for the Nintendo Switch 2, are just keys to let people know that you own the rights and you can play it. Or you're renting the rights or leasing the rights, whatever they want it, legal mumbo jumbo, because guess what? We don't own games nowadays. The Nintendo Switch 2 was released on June 5th, and it has been a big hit since then, selling 3.5 million units globally in just 4 days, which is very impressive numbers right there. However, the console was release was not without its share of controversies. The physical versions of the games being sold as game key cards frustrated many gamers. These cards do not contain the actual game, instead, simply put a key that allows the owners to activate them. So the game still needs to be downloaded before it can be played. We've been doing that shit for the last 10 damn years. I don't know why Nintendo's making a big deal about it now. Now, Nintendo president, however the hell you say his name, talked with Game Key Cards at Nintendo's annual shareholders meeting, which happened on June 27th, which is today. During the meeting, a shareholder called Game Key Cards a half-baked measure. No, it's not really half-baked if it works, because it's been working, and asked why so many third-party publishers use them and whether this impacts sales. He explained how game key cards work and said that the large file size of the Nintendo Switch 2 games brought the creation of this measure. Man, you guys are cooking if you're doing that. Also, game key cards were conceived as an option for publishers to bring their games to retailers, and third-party publishers were consulted with the idea for selling games in this format. Where was it? There's something here that really kind of struck me wrong. He did not respond, however, whether the game key cards impact the sales. Recent reports have shown that the majority of titles selling on the Nintendo Switch 2 are first-party games, despite most of the offerings being third-party titles. Game key cards have been such a controversial topic, which I don't even understand why they're controversial, considering Xbox and PlayStation have been doing them. Recently, Nintendo addressed their continued usage, according to Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser. Great name, especially for the president of Nintendo here in America. Game key cards were used to make the Nintendo Switch 2 attractive to third-party game publishers, as the largest cartridge capacity, cartridge capacity in Nintendo Switch 2, 64 gigs, which is massive. You're not fitting a Call of Duty game on there, but that's a massive amount. These cards help to keep production costs low and give more freedom to the developer. However, they are generally not well received by gamers. Why are they not generally received by gamers? Because the cost cutting and saving measures for the companies is not being passed on to the consumers. On top of that, game preservation. Game preservation. You're throwing it on to, like, basically a digital version. So we'd have to rip whatever's on our hard drive or whatever in order to game preserve whatever it is. Fortunately, Nintendo has no plans of using game key cards for its first party titles. While it is not entirely clear if this will also apply to games published by Nintendo but developed by other companies, it is at least reassuring for fans that some of the physical games they purchase from the Nintendo Switch 2 will actually contain the game in full. Um, let's see. I mostly play Mario Kart World on a friend's device, and I really like the open world, and it's good racing feels. That has nothing to do with this article, but anyways, genuinely, I think that game key card features, I think they're bad. And like I said, Xbox, PlayStation, even the Nintendo Switch 1 has been using this. And I don't understand why now all of a sudden. I think it's because there's been a name actually attached to what they're doing, is why it's so bad now and why it's bringing a lot of attention. On the other thing that really aggravated me, I think it was Grand Theft Auto 5 for the Xbox 360. I remember it being two discs. So the first disc, which was the game disc, and the second disc, you had to put in your Xbox 360, download the information, pull it out, put the disc one in. Basically, it was just downloading the map so that there was reduced load time. Um, and 64 gigs is a lot, and I mean a lot of memory, especially for one of those small cartridges for the Nintendo Switch. Um, it is a bad thing because of game preservation. Let's go full screen. That's enough of me ranting. Wrong button. That's enough of me ranting about game key card features when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. I genuinely kind of miss physical media, especially when they're getting, we have different companies telling us you'll never own your games, you'll never own your movies, you'll never fill in the blank. So we'll have to see how all this goes. Anyways, you guys, don't forget to mash that like button, subscribe. Every little bit helps out the channel immensely. Y'all take it easy. Have a great, wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.